Hello and welcome to Those Forking Fangirls, where we talk all things nerdy book, TV, movie, and pop culture fandoms and how they integrate into our adult lives. I'm Natasha.
And I'm Christine.
And this is episode 19, and today we're going to be talking about our experience at the Shadow and Bone premiere, which Christine and I both attended last week. The show airs, the second season airs when this show goes live, so I'm super excited to hear everyone's thoughts. And but today we're actually going to be talking about being confident and actually talking to people in a scary, intimidating social situation. So we're going to have some tips and tricks on how we learned over the years what to do and what not to do. So it's going to be a time. But first, we're going to roll into Snap Crackle pop culture news. Christine, take it away. What do you have for us?
Well, the first thing I have down is that Everything, Everywhere, All at Once killed it at the Oscars this weekend. They swept every category they were in. I was so proud of them. I was crying every time someone went up to make a speech. They were all so moving, so touching, so grounded. And I love that movie so intensely. I was so happy for them. I finally felt like my team won at the Oscars, and I bet on them.
You did so well.
Everything. I know. I mean, like 16 out of 23 doesn't it eats like a 69% on a test, but usually I get like tops 11 because I use my heart and not like my logic, and where like the knowledge I know people are buzzing about, I'm more about like what I want to win. I didn't see many of the films this year. I had seen maybe 3. So I think that allowed me actually to use logic and educated guesses more on the ones that I hadn't seen. So I wasn't, using my heart to be like, I hope this one wins, other than the Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Anyway, it was a good Oscars.
It was a good Oscars, and nothing like terrible happened. I love, Jimmy Kimmel was straight to the point. Like, he said some things where I was like, oh, like hiding under my blanket because I was feeling secondhand embarrassment.
Yeah. It was not great, not terrible. Like, he was okay.
And there were a lot of snubs. But I'm glad Everything Everywhere All at Once just completely
it was
swept.
Really
it was
phenomenal.
well deserved.
It was phenomenal. What do you have next?
Okay, so The Last of Us premiered its season finale. Also, I'm sick again, so just show me some grace tonight. So I might be a little not as jovial, but Last of Us season finale premiered last night, and Last of Us is on HBO. Most of the world has been watching it. It was so good. It ended basically they took the end of the actual game and they just put it on screen. There was a really beautiful scene that I'm so glad that they added into the season finale from the game. And however, I did think it was a little lacking of some action points, but we got most of it. The showrunners did say, because I was wondering this myself, because there's only 2 games and we already went through the first game. So I was like, okay, what are we going to do for the rest of the show? Are they going to make stuff up? But they said that they're going to take the second game and break it into multiple seasons. They don't know how many seasons, but that it won't just be one. So
interesting.
We will see what that means.
Yeah. The last thing on our Snap Crackle pop culture news this week, I just wanted to take a second to talk about the weird ass fashion trend of all these stars being naked with a sheer sheet of fabric over them at the Oscar parties. I was so confused. I was like, this is not fashion. Like, who is this? This is Daisy Edgar Jones, and she's wearing a see-through slip with stripes.
Yeah, that's...
What is this? And then
that's definitely not my favorite.
She's not the only one. Olivia Wilde is wearing a bag dress with a black bra. What is that? What is this trend? Then there's Sabrina Carpenter's wearing a sheer top with like glitter on the boobs and
I actually like that
mermaid
one.
bottom. I don't hate it, but I'm just confused by it because it doesn't look
It's
like an Oscar outfit to me. You know, this looks like the music video at VMAs or something. I don't know. I'm confused.
yeah. I thought most of the looks on the actual red carpet of the Oscars were great. I really like Cara Delevingne.
I loved hers. That's my favorite one. Cara Delevingne's both looks after Party 2. Did you see that one?
Yes. And I liked
what is this?
yes. It's a feather on her boobs.
I don't even know who this is.
That's what's her face from Euphoria.
What's her face from Euphoria? This is not what's her face from Euphoria.
The trans woman from Euphoria.
Oh, I guess I don't know that character.
It's definitely a trend, like the sheer trend was forecasted like on the runway for last spring.
You know
so,
who I did?
I mean, it's what?
I was just gonna say, you know who I think did it well? Emma Chamberlain's dress is really cool. Have you seen it? It's navy and it has like lines on it, and it looks like more of a design. You know, it's just not like naked. Emma Chamberlain is a really big YouTuber. She makes really nice vlogs. She was the one who interviewed on the carpet that went that said I love you on the carpet of the Met Gala.
She has a partnership with Louis Vuitton, so that's probably Louis Vuitton.
This one I didn't hate. I liked her dress, but I just didn't like her makeup. It was really intense. Lady Gaga's dress. Look at her butt.
I liked how low that corset was. It was cool. Mm-hmm. Josh asked us, what do you guys think of the Little Mermaid trailer? And I was really excited to see Ursula, like actual like Ursula, and like she sounds just like she put her own twist on it, but she is Ursula, and it made me very happy.
Melissa
I don't think
McCarthy.
I like the casting for Eric.
I don't think I
was
like
a
him
little
either.
underwhelmed.
Me too. He wasn't not. I don't know. He just didn't feel handsome enough to be Prince Eric.
He's supposed to be Henry Cavill, but like young.
Yeah, he is. And I don't know his personality, so maybe it'll be different once we hear him talk. We'll see.
Yeah, I guess we'll see.
I just don't like I don't like the live action of anything so far, so I'm keeping my expectations down for it because I've just been disappointed every single movie of these live action adaptations because they don't put a new twist on anything. They do an exact replica. And
except for Maleficent.
That wasn't a cartoon beforehand, though. That was just a live action.
It was Aurora. It was Sleeping Beauty, but it was from Maleficent. Like they should be doing the live action from a different point of view, like from
they
the
could,
villain's
but
point
they
of view.
haven't been doing that.
No.
The live action Lion King was definitely the weirdest for me
because it's not live action. Like you still
it's CGI animals.
CGI.
But they don't look like they have human emotions like they do in the cartoon. So it's just really weird to see them talk and be human.
I mean, I, for one, am very excited for the live action Little Mermaid because we do have a black actress as Ariel. And I think she's going to put her own twist on things, and her look is just so perfect. I love her hair. Like we got more of the hair swooshiness in the water, and that looks
her
really
voice
good.
Feels very Ariel to me, the way she enunciates and such. But I'm excited to see her as Ariel. I'm just not excited in general for like how good the movie will be as a new version of it. I just feel like they haven't been impressive thus far, but I hope this is where that changes. I hope this one kind of has a twist on it that makes it its own thing. All right, shall we move on?
Yes.
Before we move into what right now, we want to take a quick second to thank everyone who's listening right now for supporting the show. And if you haven't already, we'd really appreciate if you followed us for free on your favorite podcast app. If you subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you like to watch the visual version of the show, that's youtube.com/@those4kingfangirls. If you leave us a comment over there, if you like the show, if you could leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or rate us 5 stars on Spotify. It's super easy and it's super helpful for us. We really appreciate it. And we also, if you want to support the show in a bigger way, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/those4kingfangirls. This is why we can do the show, because we have your incredible support. If you're already a patron, we appreciate you so much. And if you don't know, we have 3 different tiers. At the $5 tier, Team Jacob, you get our half an hour extra, more personal show every single week called Fangirl Tea Time. We love doing that. You get to listen live as we record, the unedited version, chat with us as we go along in the chat. At the $10 tier, we've got extra show every month, which we are behind on, but we are going to record soon. And we are doing a new moon commentary this month, which you'll be getting with the $10 tier. And at the highest tier, Team Post Bananas, you get the opportunity to fill out a Google Doc to be on the show if you're interested in being on the show. And we do fangirl bonding hangouts every month, which are super fun on the last weekend of every month. So hit up our Patreon if you're interested. The link is in the description. All right. What right now? Natasha, what are you reading this week?
I'm still reading Lord of Shadows. I actually did read some of it this week.
Nice.
As I was finishing up my Snow White look. I was playing it in the wee hours of the morning. And I'm halfway through. So hopefully,
nice.
I feel like I'm gonna have to stop out after Lord of Shadows and like do something else, and then go back to it like after and go into Queen of Air and Darkness, because I need a break. I'm burnt out.
Yeah,
that
makes
read
sense.
Anything this week?
I have not. I have been vigorously writing into the night every day. So I have not read very much. I've read maybe a compilation of 8 pages of Christina Lauren's The True Love Experiment, all while I'm in the shower. But I've been so tired when I'm in the shower. I'm not even reading much before I just put down the phone, like wash myself and get out.
Yeah.
So, but you know what I did this week? Kind of irrelevant, but I changed the shower head all by myself. I felt like such an accomplished grown-up, because I don't know, I just always assumed that was really hard to do, that you needed tools, but you just screw it on and off. So, well, it's much easier than it looks. And I took off all the plumber tape. That was the hardest part.
Oh, yeah. See, I bought a new shower head, but I bought like a new thing, because my shower head literally hits the back of my neck. Like like I can't. It's not above my head. Yeah, so I bought like a whole new like system, but I have not even attempted. I'm like, Alex, you can do that, please, but he hasn't done it yet.
What have you been watching?
Right, what
this
TV?
Week? I have been watching Daisy Jones and fucking loving it. I'm having the best time. Yes.
Me
And
too.
I'm just getting goosebumps every time they perform together. And that's Daisy and Billy Dunn we're talking about. I just feel like they're doing such a good job with this adaptation. And I can already feel I'm going to be rewatching it. Like, I can't wait to get to the end so I can rewatch it again from the beginning.
Yeah.
With everything that happens in the show already in mind. I think they're doing an excellent work.
I am. It's funny because I remember reading, both Christine and I have talked about this, but we didn't like the book because not that it's not a great book. There's a lot of drug and alcohol abuse, which I don't love, and I don't love to be in the minds of people who have those addiction problems, because it's really close to home. And also, a lot of the characters are not likable. Like, I really love Suki Waterhouse's character, Karen. She's my favorite.
I love Karen, too. And I'm like, I'm getting to know Rob Pattinson's girlfriend. Finally. Yeah, it was really tough to read the first time around because of the history I have with family members and just the like addiction. And I just don't, and I feel like you felt the same way. And it really, but it really humanized addiction in a way that I hadn't seen in media before, and really changed the way I think about it. And I think that's so important because so much of the time it is demonized in media, and we're led to believe that addiction turns people into not people anymore, you know, and you won't really understand the struggle in the same human way. You're not led to look at it that way because of the way it's portrayed in different shows, you know. It's portrayed as like that person is immediately a terrible person, that person's the devil. Like that's what you grow up thinking because of the way it's portrayed. And it's just very humanizing, and it really changes your perspective to read from their point of view in this book. And I thought about it over a long time afterward.
Yeah. And I don't know, it's just so perfect. Like it feels like it's coming out of like the things I saw in my head are like actually on screen. And it's so cool because everyone in that band had like over a year of band camp, and they all learned how to play the instrument. Some of them, I think the guitarist already knew. They all worked on their voice. And Riley Keough, like her voice is beautiful. And I love anytime she sings.
It's gorgeous. Abby said I can't stand Billy's straightened hair in the interview scenes. I love his hair like that.
I love his straightened hair.
I think it looks so hot.
Way more.
Me too. I hate his curly hair.
His curly hair really emphasizes how aged he is, I feel.
Yes, it does.
They're trying to make him look youthful, and Sam just needs to like put on a little bit more weight, and I feel like it would. His face is so angular. His
face is very angular. All right. Oh, I have to mention that I finished season 4 of You, and it was fucking wild. It's a lot, so read the trigger warnings if you are watching it. But I liked the way it ended. It was chilling as fuck, and I feel like they're going to do a season 5. It ended. I thought this was going to be the final season because I know he really struggles with this character because he is so fucked up. And they really pulled. I really want to tell you about it, Natasha. I don't want to spoil anyone here. I called Natasha last night, but she was busy when I wanted to tell her the entire plot of the finale of You.
I'm waiting for it. I want to hear. Like I was watching The Last of Us.
Yeah, but it was really good. I don't know if it's my favorite season. I gotta let it process. I really loved season 3, but I think it's definitely second, if it's not first.
Okay, I watched. So Mandalorian came back, so I had like a triple dose of Pedro last night because we watched The Last of Us and then we watched The Mandalorian. In the second episode, The Mandalorian was way better than the first episode of the third season. And the little baby Grogu, he's so cute, and I just like he was like the savior of episode 2. Like, Christine, you need to watch it. He's so cute. And then we watched the Hot Ones with Pedro Pascal because he was on Hot Ones with the buffalo wings, and he was really good in that. And then also today I watched the first 2 episodes of School Spirits, and it's on Paramount Plus. My friends had gone to the premiere and they said it was really good and they're really excited about it. And it's a week-to-week show. And it's got vibes of like 13 Reasons Why, but more of like a mystery and not so depressing.
So kind of like The Breakfast Club. No, what is that book that was on the bestseller list for like years? Fuck, you know what I'm talking about? One of Us is Lying.
Oh yeah. We Were Liars. Yeah. Yes.
No, I'm not talking about We Were Liars. It's not like We Were Liars. One of Us is Lying.
It gives Pretty Little Liars vibes. Yeah, it does, but a little less corny than Pretty Little Liars.
Yeah, because it was on ABC Family. Pretty Little Liars had a bit of a lot of corn. All right. What did you watch movie-wise this week?
I forgot to mention this last week, but I watched Babylon with my brother.
Oh.
And it, like, the first like 30 minutes of this movie are very uncomfortable, and it's like raunchy and vulgar, and then it turns into this completely different movie about how about silent films were turned into talkies and that struggle in Hollywood. And it was, that part was great, but all around I don't think I really loved the movie, because I was half watching it because I was sewing. So
I tried to watch this movie and I was just so icked out by the first 20 minutes.
A fucking elephant just like poops
shit
all over these people.
This poor people trying to fucking pull it up a mountain with a little tow car. It hurt watching that. And then the scene, there's this like a guy who is having sex with a hooker and he accidentally kills her right in the first 5 minutes.
She pees on him.
Well, she pees on him, and then he's like, "Oh no, she won't wake up. It was an accident." Like he killed her. Did you catch that?
Yes. I did.
It was horrible. And then there's just naked people everywhere and people being rich assholes, and I did not like it. And then Olivia Wilde is screaming at Brad Pitt, and I just
She's in it for like 2 seconds.
I was just like, that's where I stopped. I want to get to the other part. I mean, it would be interesting to see their take on it, because we learned all about it in film school. The transition from the silent films to the talkies, and Charlie Chaplin during that time and all that stuff. But I didn't get there. It's on Paramount Plus, and I got so excited when I saw it, and then I couldn't watch it.
Yeah, it's not for the faint of heart.
So I tried to watch Triangle of Sadness before the Oscars this week. It's on Hulu right now. It is very, like, sad funny in the first 50 minutes. It's that depressing brand of funny, and it's a take on, the very wealthy and how they're really obnoxious and frivolous. And we open up with these male models, and one of our lead characters is a male model, and he's not doing well anymore. They don't want to hire him because he looks too old, even though he's like in his mid-20s maybe. They're like, your triangle of sadness, and it's that space between your eyebrows is your triangle of sadness, and your nose when it like wrinkles when you express your face.
Me touching my triangle of sadness.
And his girlfriend is this influencer, and she's like very much, making him take pictures of things that are very curated all the time, and he wants to marry her, but she doesn't care about him. And then they're on this boat where they got a free trip for her because she's an influencer. And I stopped watching about 55 minutes in. They're on the boat and they're at dinner, and it's really rocky, and they're eating oysters, and everyone's fucking throwing up. Everyone is just like spewing vomit, and I just like
gross display of...
I know. I was getting seasick just watching it because the camera kept going back and forth with the ship. Like, they're doing a good job. I think the ship crashes, and that's why I started watching again, because I saw a picture of them on an island. So I like a crash on an island. It's my genre, man. So I'm gonna push through when I feel less seasick, but I was like, I can't keep watching this. Anything to bring Lost back, Emily says. Abby said that's how she wishes Titanic ended, on an island.
You really do.
Oh my
That is your genre from a very early age. Christine in boats that crash land.
That crash. And I rewatched Runaway Bride this week. Fucking loved it again. I realized that like a part of the plot is very kind of ridiculous, but they have so much chemistry it doesn't even matter. If you haven't seen Runaway Bride with Richard Gere and Julia Roberts, it's fantastic.
Okay, so we're gonna move into into our main discussion.
Yes.
Yay! Okay, so last week, like I said, Christine and I went to the Shadow and Bone premiere. This was really fun because I own a talent agency. And so, like, most of my talent went to this premiere last night as I was, like, trying to get people in because this is our thing. Like, it's the YA book adaptation. Like, we love Leigh Bardugo. We have to be there. So, like, a big group of us were there. Then we're all, like, good friends. Well, they're all my good friends. But, yes, Christine went. I went. Came as my friend Taya's plus one. My best friend Heather was there. Tessa was there. My client Amanda, and many more. But we got to walk the red carpet, and we got photos taken. Christine, that wasn't your first time, though, right? Getting like Getty images.
I've been doing it for years. No, I have had it for a long time. But the first time was like in 2013 when I got invited to that YouTube comedy night. And there was like a red carpet. It was a very weird event that they threw. And there were like 4 random YouTubers, and I was one of them. And they had used like an algorithm to find who was the most like comedy relevant that they wanted to invite. Wow. It was so weird because it was me and that Zach, who we had like decent sized followings, like between like 50 and 100K. And the other 2 were like very small creators. So it was very strange. I don't know how they picked us, but yeah, that was my first time being being on the Getty images. Anyway, yeah, Natasha got us all invites to this premiere as our awesome manager. We were very excited. I was thrilled because, of course, I love Leigh Bardugo, and this was right up my alley. And I tried to put together a Shadow and Bone-esque outfit from all the shit that I already have, and I think I did a decent job.
I loved your outfit.
Thank you. I really liked it too. I usually don't like when I don't have legs because I'm mostly leg. And I'm just like, when I'm a big skirt that goes to the ground, it's just like I feel off balance. But I think it worked. But I didn't have time to wash my hair, so it was like I curled it, and it was I wasn't like 100% happy with my face look.
I made a dress the day before. And the thing is, I wasn't going to do this. All right. I tried to ask for a dress because I knew it's my birthday week, that I really wanted to show myself some self-love and not try to kill myself with exhaustion and just stress. But of course I do it. And the reasons why I do that is because the last time I saw Leigh was at the School for Good and Evil premiere, and she talked about how much she loves seeing like my dressmaking process, and asked if the dress I was wearing to that premiere, if I made it, and I said no. And so I wanted to be like, I made this dress for your premiere, you know? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so that was my reasoning, and I stayed up till 2 a.m. finishing it.
It was beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, I love the outcome of it. It was the first time I've done like sewn in sleeves. Usually I just do my very easy, and I love the bow sleeves that I usually do with the tulle. But I was like, I'm going to do something different. I'm just going to do like normal straps, and they were a little bit too tight. So I think I have to go. I think what I'm going to do if I wear it again is I'm going to cut the top of those and then literally sew in the tulle so I can make the bows. So it's even more fancy. Yeah. And I wish I was wearing heels, but here's the thing. I went to Princess Night, which is a thing I literally sewed back to back. So I had like multiple nights of like 4 a.m.
Princess Night was at
times.
Disneyland, just so everyone knows.
It's a ticketed event. And I have never done this before in my life. I fell into a fucking bed of flowers at Disneyland, like a gated off flower planter. Okay. I was just standing, and I went to go take a step back, and there wasn't any space for me to take a step back. And because I was like 6 inches taller than I usually am, the gate like hit at the back of my leg, and I flipped into the flower bed. Luckily I didn't get hurt. It was a very soft land. Everyone said I looked like Alice in Wonderland falling through the flowers. And I fell again that night because my nerves were so shot, and I knew I'm like, I should not be wearing heels.
Natasha needs sleep.
I need sleep. This is why I'm sick again. So I did not wear the heels.
I didn't wear heels either because my feet have been fucked since we hosted the Vampire Academy premiere event back in September. I'm afraid to wear heels because my feet start to be having these shooting pains because I think it's a nerve thing with my back, and then it goes into my feet because I got x-rays and they were like, you look fine. It's your nerves. And I was like, okay, what do I do about it? Like, it'll go away in time. So every time I wear heels, I've been getting those pains. So I did not wear heels. I wore boots, and it was fine because you couldn't even see my feet because my skirt took up my whole bottom half. Josh says, same, I hate not having legs. Shadow said my hair looked great curled. Thank you. It's like it falls weirder though when my hair is dirty because, you know, the oils kind of make your hair stick together in different spots. You know what I'm talking about. And I could tell that was happening, and I was not pleased. All right. So from here, we go on the red carpet. They don't let us stay there and take pictures. They tell us to give the lady working at the camera, so we didn't get to like do extensive content up in there. We had a very quick pick. It was a small carpet. That's why they were trying to move us along. It wasn't like when we went to the Spider-Man premiere. It was a huge carpet.
Oh, yeah, like huge. A mile long.
So long. This was very short and sweet carpet. I'm happy we got to walk it at all. And then we chatted for a bit outside before we were let into this holding room area where the bathrooms were. And damn, we had a good time in the Netflix bathrooms.
Yes. So the premiere was like at one of the Netflix like locations that they have. I was at the Tudum Theater.
Tudum.
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 It's got a nice ring to it when you say it like that.
And it was a very beautiful theater, and then they had like the red carpet on like in the business park area. I'm sure they were just trying to save money, but it was great, so we were happy to be there. We all went to the bathroom, so it's me, Taya, Christine, and Kendra, and I don't know, we lost like
they're
Tessa
all
and
individual, very cool new bathrooms with great lights and floor-to-ceiling mirrors, and then orange walls around you, so it's perfect for a photo. And
so like you guys, like I took my time in the bathroom. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can take a whole outfit photo because I definitely didn't get a photo of my dress before I left because I was late as per usual. And so I leave the bathroom and Kendra and Christine are just like hanging out on the wall, and I'm like, wow, I took a bunch of content in that bathroom. And then we're like, where's Taya? We're like, oh, she's probably also doing the same thing. She comes out the bathroom, she goes in her Gen Z way, yo, we like need to go back in there and do like a fit check.
She's like, guys, can we do a quick fit check? And I was like, what the fuck's a fit check? Okay. And she runs me through what a fit check is. And if you don't know, she sets up the camera and she just really quick yells out where everything she's wearing is from, but at light speed. So there's no possible way you could catch everything she says. And if we were doing it, it would be like, okay, so I got this at this time in my life for this reason. She's like, Amazon, Urban Outfitters, Macy's, and then it was like, next person, run on, do yours. And so this is my first fit check, and I was second in line to run in front of the camera. I have me talking about it afterward on tape, and I figured that we can wait till the episode. We're going to have Taya on an episode. We're very excited to do our Gen Z teaches lessons to the millennials. About the slang that is hot right now. That's coming soon to a podcast near you on the Forking Fangirls feed. But so I was going to say that for when we do that episode. But I run on and I just completely blanked on everywhere my outfit is from. Like, everything is from 10 years ago. So.
And I was just making fun of Christine and being like, why do you have things from 2013 in your closet?
Because I see things that are nice and I buy them because I know I'll eventually have an event to wear it to. And what do you know? 9 years later, I did. My skirt is literally from when I first moved to LA. I bought that really long ass skirt and I finally wore it. But my corset top thingy that I had was actually from when I dressed as Emma Carstairs in 2014 for Halloween.
So as we're doing this fit check, so we're in one of the bathrooms and they all have like these like handicap contraptions. Like I didn't know how to close the fucking door because it was just like ridiculous. It was like locked in place, and Christine uses all of her might and like goes against it, and she's like actual like Iron Man pushing the door closed.
It did feel like that. The door would not close except I put all my might into pushing it closed. I was like, we are doing content in this bathroom. Close.
So we get out of the bath. Taya posted this video, by the way. Did you see it?
I know. I just saw it. Yeah, I saved it so that when she's on, we can talk about it.
We also recorded this fit check twice, by the way, because it wasn't fast
I
enough.
took too long. I was like, I literally said that when I stood in front of the camera. But yeah, we did it faster the second time around. I kind of sound like a psycho in the actual one because I'm like, yeah, bye. And I look like a clown because I'm making cray faces.
That's your shtick, though.
It is, but with the red lipstick, little much.
Taya, last night, she was over watching the Oscars with us, and I'm like, what did you think about Christine? Because this is like the first time that they have hung out together in like not a public setting. And she goes, oh my fucking God, I love her so much. We have the same dumb sense of humor.
We had a fun time. I enjoyed getting to know Taya more over your birthday. It was very fun.
Okay, so then we go out. We're waiting for the carpet to begin because we get to the carpet at 6. So we have from 6 to 6:30 to walk the carpet, get our pictures, go inside. The talent comes in at 6:30. They're inside by 7:30. So we have like a whole hour just to like wander and do stuff. And so we're taking content like within the lobby. There's a bunch of people there, and I see they don't have like a lot of signage or art up for Shadow and Bone, but there is this like.
There's like a marble platform that's like 4.5 feet tall, and it looks like Shadow and Bone was carved into the side of it, like it was made for Shadow and Bone. I know it must have been some art that made it look like it was carved into the side of it, but I was like, I need to get on top of that like a fucking piano. And surf across it. Yeah, I'm like, can you please hold this phone and record me? And I forgot when I posted it what I was thinking of when I was doing it. I was like, I am a skiff going across the sand from Shadow and Bone. Because I remember reading that and I was like, how is a boat, if you haven't read Shadow and Bone, there's this fold that is basically this dark area with monsters in it, and it's all sand and desert. And the only way to get across it are boats. And I'm like, how the fuck are boats getting across sand? Like, boats don't work on sand. I've been grounded in a boat. It does not go. And basically there are Grisha, who are people that are the first segment of Pulling Bananas boats. Oh my God. So accurate, Abby. So basically they have Grisha who are, have different abilities. They're people with different abilities, and they're people who have the ability to manipulate the wind, and Grisha make the boats move by manipulating the wind. So the boats don't just move on their own. I was so confused reading this. I was just still like, is air really gonna push a giant ship through sand? Is it? I don't understand the physics there. I don't think that would be an easy task by any means. So I still think that's hilarious. And I was like, okay, here I go. I'm a boat skiffing across the sand. You can see the video on my Instagram.
It was very slow, though. Like, like I thought she was going to
That's
go
why it's
faster.
funny. That's why it's funny, Natasha.
But I just need to paint a picture. We're in a lobby full of people who have something to do with the show, and Christine is just hopping on top of this platform and like doing all these crazy moves and trying to pull herself across this platform. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of the Hollywood show Halloween Lady Gaga parody where she's on the skateboard in the mermaid tail and she's like,
I don't remember.
okay.
But I really wanted to do it second time. Natasha really didn't want me to keep doing it. I could tell. I feel
No.
like. But like I didn't get to go because I could see her like waiting on wanting me to keep being up there. I like hopped off, but I didn't get all the way through the shot so that it would be funny. I got off before I was out of frame, and I #regret because it would have been able to be posted. And then people came over and stood in front of it, and I was like, God damn it.
I know.
That's
I wanted
my
them all to
piano.
move. They were just standing in front of the only piece of art in the lobby.
I know. The only Shadow and Bone sign. Hello? People want to take content in front of that. Excuse me. Have you met a content creator?
But yeah, we just ended up taking like photos on the little stairs.
They had really pretty steps.
and drapes and lights.
Okay. And then a really pretty balcony that we went upstairs and took some. We didn't take anything up there.
No, but Heather and Tessa were acting as if it was High School Musical and they were singing.
Status quo.
Yes.
Stick to the status quo. But then we went into the theater, and it was full of lights, like a universe of
gorgeous.
stars. It was fucking beautiful. And Tessa and I were the first ones in to the theater, and boy, was it a beautiful shock to walk into a sky full of stars.
It's like we were in Starfall.
I know. It was like being in ACOTAR, the theater.
Yeah, and I think like it was you and Tessa, then Heather, and I was like, "What's going on? Why are we stopping?" I'm like trying to get a shot, but everyone's in my shot.
We all pull out our phones immediately. Must document.
There's all these people waiting to go into the theater as well behind us, and they're like, "What's this taking so long?"
There's a security check at the door.
Yeah. So we find our seats, and I had asked for like the four of us to be seated together, but apparently they didn't give us 4 seats together. They gave us 2 seats stacked. So Tay and I were in front of Christine and Kendra. And so we're just sitting there, like we got some pictures in front of the screen because there was art on the screen for Shadow and Bone. And they are pulling in the cast now. The cast is coming in from the red carpet. So I do know this premiere that they had a bunch of fans on the red carpet, and so they got to go to like the little party before, and then they were going to be shown the first episode, but we got to see the first episode first. Yeah, and then we went to the after party. Yes.
That was a little confusing.
Yeah, so we had all the cast and all the showmakers in
with our screening.
Our screening.
Yeah. So
and
behind me was like the costume designer. I only know this because Kendra knew everything about the show, so she was pointing out every single person that ever worked on the show. I was like, how do you know what the costume designer looks like?
I know.
And Pekka Rollins was sitting right next to Natasha and Taya.
Yes.
They were just casually talking to Pekka Rollins from the books, from Six of Crows, if y'all have.
He was so nice. Right. He just sat down. He literally made straight eye contact with Taya, and he's like, "Hi," and we're like, "Hi." And he's like, "What are you guys doing here? Like, what do you do?" And we're like, "Oh." And I was like, "Oh, we are, influencers, content creators." And he goes, "Oh, okay." And then we're like, what are you, like, we didn't know who he was. And we're like,
oh my God.
Like, are you in the show? And he goes, yeah, I play like Pekka Rollins. And I was trying to remember like who that was. And then I was trying to tell Taya, I'm like, oh yeah, he's
gosh,
the mobster dude. But he was so sweet, and his +1 was also really nice, and he like gave us a card, and like I don't know, there's things that happen within these, and there's promises made. But anyways, it was a good conversation that we had. But amidst this long conversation that we had with the actor who plays Pekka Rollins and his +1, the rest of the cast comes in.
Ben
So we
Barnes
have-
comes right by us.
yeah. We're also like
He sat right in
seated-
front of Natasha.
Yes, and I clocked it immediately as Taya.
I watched as it happened too. I was like, oh my God, he just sat right in front of her.
And I was like, oh my God, is Ben Barnes sitting right in front of us the entire time? And he did. He sat right
well,
in
he
front of us.
wasn't going to move after that.
Abby says, Kellen, let's flash. So, he was also seated next to the actress who plays the healer, like the beautician
Gemma?
for the queen. Yeah.
I think her name's Gemma or something. Yeah.
And I thought that all the actors were going to get up and like introduce it, but we had gotten someone from Netflix and then the producers and the
It was
director
the
and
VP
showrunners.
of all the shows at Netflix. I think that spoke to us first, and then the showrunner. Yeah.
Yeah. But
And
for
then
the
it's my
entirety of the episode, oh shoot, what did Ben do that totally humanized
He
him?
laughed, and nobody else laughed.
No,
that
no,
what
he
happened?
clapped. He clapped for
When?
something. I can't remember.
When did he clap? If you can't
He
remember,
clapped and no one clapped.
Yeah, but
He
for
was like-
what?
I don't remember. I think it was something for like
For the entrance
Oh.
of a character?
possibly I can't remember.
See,
Or it was something that someone was
we
saying.
Don't know.
I know.
Because you guys told that story to me, I guess, and I was like, "Who? What was it?" And you know the exact situation to find this relatable.
And then the entire episode he was picking popcorn out of his teeth.
Oh my God! Wow, bird's eye view at the back of Ben Barnes's head.
The thing is, he wasn't just directly in front of us. He was seat number 2, and we were 3 and 4, so we could
so he had an angle.
We could see his whole face, not just the back of his head.
Oh damn! I saw the back of his head from my position. The back of his head looked ridiculous. That's a very old reference.
It is. So we only got 1 episode. I thought we were getting 2, and then
I told you, no one listened to me when I was like, the invitation said 1. And everyone was like, no, 2.
we always get 2 because it makes up for like a movie.
Said 1. It said the first episode, period. But okay, what did you think of the episode? Because I think it went a little fast. I would have liked if it
was very
breathed a
fast.
little bit. It was so you have to like be prepared going into it and know everything from the last season. Whereas I feel like a really good opening to the second season of a fantasy show is to go a little slow again so that we remember everything that happened.
Well, we were introduced to like all the new characters.
Nikolai.
Yeah, I don't remember any of this book, so you're gonna have to.
Gosh. I
say.
kept being like Nikolai, and Natasha's like, who is that? And every time I'd be like, the pirate guy in the show.
I thought you were saying Prince.
Well, he's the king too. He's the actual king of Ravka. He's like the bloodline.
Oh. Yeah, I don't remember any of this.
So he's introduced, and also Wylan is introduced. I didn't remembering any of these people's names, and then I see them. I was like, oh yeah, that's Wylan. They were just like sitting in the back of my head. And a lot of people, the only people I didn't remember were the twins that are on the ship with Nikolai
yeah.
that everyone was excited about in the theater, and I was like, why don't I remember them? But I think I have a vague memory now that it's sat in my head for a while. They're also introduced in this episode. But yeah, I just thought it went a little fast. Everyone's got accents, and it's like, it kind of was reminding me of Tenet in that like I couldn't hear what they were saying because it was going too quickly. But I'm hoping that we kind of slow down a bit in the next episode.
Yeah, I would definitely like rewatch the last episode because it picks
Before
up
this.
right, as the first episode starts.
Yes.
But it was great. It's so well done, and
It's very well done. there were a couple of things I was iffy about because I feel like they were doing it too fast. Like the scene that we get Nina being a heartrender for the first time, and the character that she's helping while she's being a heartrender is very, very capable. And I was almost like, she wouldn't be in this position. She would get out of it before there was a need for Nina. But I'm glad Nina's there. It's like the gang's all here. The 6 of crows are 6 of crows. Except for, well, they're going to be soon. They're going to be soon. Right now we're 5, but 6 is about to come.
Who's the 6?
Matthias.
Oh, duh. Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm. Okay, those actors who play Matthias and Nina. Now, I wish that Nina was actually plus size, because looking at Danielle in person, she is nowhere near that.
I didn't even
unfortunately.
see her.
She was the one in the red dress and the pink heels.
Oh, I don't remember seeing her.
She's very tall. She's probably as tall as me. But she's beautiful, and her and Callahan Skogman are like so hot. Like both of them, there's pictures of them together on the carpet. They are just smoking. Like, wow. But yeah, I'm very excited for all that to come because they're my favorite. Even though I don't know how the book ends.
I'm not going to say.
Don't tell me.
All right. So we get let out, and this is when we get to go to the after party, which is very exciting.
We're not normally invited to.
Well, sometimes we are, sometimes we're not. It's a crapshoot. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we're invited and the cast stays for half a second, and sometimes the cast is there the whole time talking to everybody. And this is one of those times. And it's always really intimidating. So this wasn't the best time for me because I wasn't feeling my most confident. And my first tip is that when you're going to a situation where you're going to want to be like socializing with people that maybe make you nervous, is to like go in feeling your most confident. So wear something that makes you feel great, like do your makeup in a way that makes you feel great. So I did this red lipstick and I was already having like a day, and I didn't have time to put the red lipstick on in the way I knew it was going to stay. You know, you have to do a lot of work. You got to do a lot of blotting, a lot of layers. I didn't get to do that. And I shouldn't have done it. I just shouldn't have worn the red lipstick because I know that I'll be self-conscious about it getting on my face and my teeth and like being smeared and everywhere. And then I won't be able to talk because I'll be worried about that. I'll be too anxious. And that's where I was in that headspace when we were like trying to talk to people. Mm-hmm. So X-nay on the lipstick nay that will get on your teeth and face nay. I'm always way happier when I just do a neutral lip at these situations.
Now I did do a dark lip, and I did it like last minute too. Mine stayed, I think, because I didn't eat that burger.
The first thing I did when I got in there was eat a burger, and I was like, that was a mistake.
Yeah, usually when I have, so that's my tip. If I have a very bright color on my lips, I just don't eat food.
I was hungry.
Or if they have things that I can just like plop in my mouth, then I'll go that way. But usually the oils and stuff will start like, breaking up your makeup around your mouth. So yeah, just be aware. But the after party was very loud.
It was. And I was hoping to be able to wipe off the lipstick after that, but the situation when you're having a dark lipstick, it's very hard to wipe it off too. Mm-hmm. So you end up with like half clown, like a weird bright non-color on your lips, just stuck there. So my next tip, what like not to do and what to do, is we usually do this. So we don't usually do this. Sorry. Don't just stay in one spot. Now, back in the day, this is how I do when I'm alone. I do stay in one spot because I'm too scared to move. But unless I really work up my courage. And if you want to talk to people and meet these people in the cast, you got to do a lap. You got to do a lap. like a casual, slow-moving lap. And if you see them, you kind of like stop and settle near them until there's an opening to chat. Not too close, not like you're stalking them, not like you're like waiting online,
but just so that
like
you have like
vicinity
a
to make eye contact.
And you have your eyes on them, and then if there's like a time that you think you can approach, then you approach. So yeah, we had definitely situated ourselves in like one spot for a bit, and I was like, let's get up, let's go take a lap, because again, we were surrounded by friends too, so it wasn't just like there's two of us, there's like a massive group of us who know each other.
We couldn't all go together.
No, it was me, Taya, and Christine. So yeah, we get up and we do a lap, and the first person we see is Lee Bardugo.
Yeah, and I'm like, wait, there she is.
Yeah, her. That
was the first thing we wanted to see too. We wanted to see Lee because we know Lee.
Yeah, and her back is turned to us. But Jo from New Leaf, like she's there, which is great. We haven't seen her. I haven't seen her since like BookCon.
Yeah, so New Leaf is a literary agency. It's the literary agency that Lee Bardugo's at. I'm at it as well. So, and Sasha's at it. So we know Jo, who was Lee's agent and owns the company. So she came over and chatted with us for a bit, and then she got Lee to turn around so we didn't have to interrupt her because she was talking to her, I think her friends, like people she knows over there.
She was so sweet. She was so excited to see us. She like squealed and she goes, "Oh my gosh, you're here!"
Because at this point we're like old friends in this world, you know, like all these authors. We've been around in so many different events for so long. It's so nice to see a familiar face in these situations where there's so many new ones, and kind of like you're just meeting all new people all the time. She was very sweet. Is there anything from the conversation that sticks out for you? Natasha said that she wants to make her a dress.
I do. Because I was like, I made a dress for your premiere, and she said it was beautiful, and I was like, and I totally should have like reached out and offered to make her a dress, because the dress she was making that she was wearing was beautiful. I could definitely do it and better. So I think I don't know what I wanted. I didn't say that. I don't know what I want to do with this talent other than like make dresses for my friends and then hopefully have like a fashion line down the way. But like, I my goal is to make people feel beautiful who don't necessarily have, you know, the runway body size, you know, like I think we all deserve to wear gorgeous gowns, and Lee will be in situations where she will need one. So I would love to make her one. And I can stretch my skills that way. So that was really fun.
Yeah, I got to tell her how much I loved Hellbent, which was really cool. And she was telling me about the event she's going to be doing at Yale. And she asked me how my books were going, and it was really sweet. She was very, very nice, very fun to talk to. And we took a picture with her. It's not the best, but it exists.
I got a selfie with Lee because she was asking me about makeup and stuff. So I gave her some of my tips. I need to send her that photo.
And she looked at both of us to be nice, but I was like, yeah, my makeup's already coming off. I know you're talking to Natasha. She was like, how do you guys make your makeup stay on so long? I was like, well, my lipstick's on my chin, so.
I couldn't see it. So it was so dark in there. Like you could tell you had beautiful makeup. Don't put yourself down.
Well, in the pictures, all I see is lipstick on your chin. There was lipstick on my chin.
I definitely have figured out like the way to keep makeup on my face because I sweat all the time. It is just always constantly like you can see it first, like right here, like at the temples of my eyebrows. You can see like the little drips of water because that's where I sweat a lot on my scalp, and it just goes down. So I have to figure out ways.
So after we talked to Lee, I was looking for another burger. So they were walking around with these trays of sliders, and every time there was like one left and I would race to get it, and someone would beat me to taking that slider off the tray. So when we left Heather and the rest of our crew, Heather was like, do you want me to grab you a slider if I see one? And I was like, yes, please. So as soon as we finished talking to Lee, someone goes by with a slider, and I lunge for it.
I had no idea where you went. I just thought you went back to the table to like sit down because you met the person you wanted to meet.
No, so I saw a slider and I ran for it. Yes, and I like stuffed it down my throat, and I go back to where Heather was because I knew she had texted me saying she got me 2 sliders. So she had 2 sliders waiting for me, and I was stuffing one down my throat. And then I was like, the second I finished that slider, I was like, oh my God, Natasha and Taya just met somebody else and I'm missing it. So I like sprint back around and they're just saying goodbye to Freddie and fucking Ben Barnes.
Yeah, so while Christina's in pursuit of her burgers, again, I thought she was done, and Tay and I were just kept going. We're like, where's Christina? I was like, oh, I think she went back. There was no communication, okay? So we move forward, and like the base of, like the top of the party is where all the cast is, and so we just hit like the mega... where like they had just come in from like introducing the fan screening, and the first person we see is Ben and Freddie, and I met Ben in November at the School for Good and Evil premiere. I went up to him with Tessa. We got a selfie, and we find a moment to like tap him on the shoulder because he's talking to other people as well, and he's taking pictures, and then he turns around with Freddie. My intention was to meet Ben for Taya because I had already met him because she really wanted to meet him, and he turns around and I'm like, hi Ben, I'm Natasha, and he goes, we've met before, haven't we? And I was like,
that's a very strong accent.
That he's not that strong.
He's not that strong.
Yes, we met at the School for Good and Evil premiere. It's so lovely to meet you again. This is my friend Taya. And then he goes, yeah, hi Taya, and this is Freddie. And I'm like, hi Freddie, it's so nice to meet you. You were so wonderful in the show. Freddie was so sweet. And I was just like mortified, honestly, that he remembered me, and I'm up here now again taking a photo with him. Meanwhile, as a fan.
Past Natasha constantly, do you remember me? And then someone remembers you and you're mortified.
I learned my lesson. That's one of my tips, is don't ask people if they remember you, because 9 out of 10 times they don't. But this fucking time, 1 out of 10, he fucking remembered me, and I'm doing the same fan shit again at a industry party.
Oh man. So was this the end of your interaction? Should I pick up?
No. Okay.
There's more.
So
there's more.
We get like I introduced them, and I said like, we just saw Lee over there, told her like how like proud of we are of her, like this show is so great, like we're so proud, blah 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 blah. Okay, then there was like an awkward moment. I'm like, oh okay, let's get the photo, and then we give the phone to one of Taya's friends because he was right there. I'm next to Freddie, and then Taya's next to Ben, and Ben says something to her that I'm trying to remember. She's wearing black gloves, and something
about Kaz Brecker that she didn't understand. She told me, she asked me about it.
Yes.
Yeah, because Kaz Brecker has to wear gloves all the time because he's traumatized by the feel of human flesh.
Yes. And so Taya asked, she's like, is it okay if I like put my arm around you? And he goes, you say, with something gloves, yes you can, blah blah blah, blah. And she was gloves. Like, Kaz Brecker gloves, yeah. And then she didn't know what he said, but she was weirded out. And she was trying to tell this to me,
she didn't
and I
know.
was like,
yeah, she didn't know about Kaz Brecker's gloves.
And so we get our picture, and then also Getty Images, or the photographer, also flashes as we take this photo. I was trying to find it, but I don't know if they had posted it. And like Taya looks awkward, and I'm okay. Like
I didn't think that was an awkward picture.
She felt she looked awkward because she was trying to figure out what he said to her about her gloves.
All right.
So then we leave.
Then they leave, and I come up, and I'm just at the backs of Ben Barnes and Freddie, who are in between Taya and Natasha. I was like, "What did you do? Did you already take a picture? Did you already take a picture?" Because
She was so mad.
The picture signals the end of the interaction, okay? So this is one of my tips is that if you're going up to someone that you do ultimately want a picture with, don't just run up to them and ask for a picture unless it's like, you know, a situation that warrants that. If you're at like a party though, you don't want to run up and take a picture. If you're on a lineup where they're walking the red carpet, obviously that's all you could do. And it's a different situation. Or if you're like at a meet and greet and that's what you're doing. But at a party, you want to like approach in a chill manner. So you're not dehumanizing them. And so that you can have an interaction and you're not just like there for the picture. You know, it's almost like, I don't care about you. I just want a picture to show my friends sort of a thing, a feel when you do that. So I would recommend, and I forgot this in the moment, my own advice, but like prep 3 things to say. So make sure they're not all compliments because that leads nowhere. It sometimes can open something up, but sometimes it just leads to dead air. Not what you want. Make sure at least one is a question and then the other 2 can be a compliment. I would even recommend writing them down in your notes because when you write something down, you remember it more. So that when you go up to them and your anxiety kicks in, you'll remember something. So Natasha's like, here, go talk to him. And I'm like trying to not be like, hello, poke them on the back. Cause I'm like literally right behind them both. And Ben Barnes is moving towards the bar, but I somehow, do you remember how I got in front of Freddie? I can't even really remember cause I kind of blacked out until I was talking to him.
It was just like a pit of people, but like
it
when
was,
you came
there
up,
were a lot of people.
After we had our interaction with Ben, like Christine did her, like she was mad, and she also poked me so fucking hard. I didn't know who was poking me, and then all I see, like Christine looks like, you know, like a chicken, and it's like, like deer in the headlights. I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't know where you were.
I was eating a book.
I also have to say before we move on to you meeting Freddie, I don't know, did you meet him? I don't even remember.
Yes, I did.
My other thing to do is like always introduce yourself, you know, like tell them your name, shake their hand, because then you're just like a person coming up to them. And also like I think going in with a buddy is the best way because then you can introduce them and tag team and then also bring up like an interesting thing. Like I think when I introduced Taya, I was like, this is Taya. She's like a content creator on TikTok, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, I remember what happened now from Freddie. All right.
Okay.
Kendra was there talking to Freddie. Now, Kendra is very outgoing. She is in her senior year of film school and she talks to everyone like it's nothing. And so she's not even like talking to everyone just casually in the cast. Like it's one of her superpowers here. Like I was sitting next to her and she like casually turned around and talked to the costume designer like, oh, hi, very casual. She's very good at it. So she's already having a casual conversation with Freddie.
And in the like 2 minutes.
Yes, in the 2 minutes after that picture. And I see her and I'm like, okay, this is my end because I'm very bad at being the one to like open up like a conversation here with these people. I'm just like, I clam up, I forget words. I need to prep. I need to do notes. 3 things to say, especially without Natasha there. But when Freddie turns around, Natasha is near me and I think I said something. I was like, hi. And Natasha was like, oh, hi, this is my friend Christine. She writes books too. She's an author. I was like,
oh, I did do that.
Yeah. And I was like, and of course, me being like, I don't know, my fucking millennial instinct, like, oh, no, not like this book. Like,
my gosh.
Like, my instinct is like to downplay everything I ever do into like sounding like nothing. And I need to stop, but I did that. I was like, oh, I don't write like fantasy books, like not like this book. I just got totally like anxiety, Christine. I was like, Kaz Becker's one of my favorite characters. He's so fantastic and you're doing such a great job. It came out of my mouth at the speed of light.
It was so fast. So fast.
And Freddie's like making extreme eye contact with me, and he was like trying to respond, but I was like, and as I stopped being like, you're doing such a great job, you're really bringing it to life in the best way, and he's like, I'm Freddie, hi.
No. And I was there too. Like I didn't know how to stop her, okay?
Well, it was hard. It was very loud, and I wanted to like not monopolize his time because I had known he was already talking to like you guys and da 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 and back to back to back, and so I didn't want to like keep him standing there. So I said that all really quickly. He said, "Hi, I'm Freddie. Pleasure to meet you," and he was talking like really slow and calm. I was like, would it be okay if we did a quick picture? I'm so sorry. And he was like, oh no, that's fine. And he took a picture. My hair is like I look so sweaty in this picture. I put such a heavy filter on it. Like my hair looks like sweat down to my head, and it's just flipped the wrong way. And I have lipstick on my chin. And this is also what I was thinking about when I was talking to him. I was like, I don't want to monopolize his time. I don't want him to be staring at the lipstick on my teeth or chin because I knew it was somewhere. And I hate, when you talk to someone that you don't really know and there's lipstick on their teeth, and it's hard to tell them because you don't want to embarrass them, but like they're gonna not like it afterward when they figure out that they were talking to you for however long with fucking lipstick on their teeth. And yeah, there's a heavy filter. I can't see. Natasha's showing the picture.
You look like you're white.
I heavy filtered it. I did look vampire-esque though. That was another mistake with the red lipstick. Like I looked very vampire, my black and red. So anyway, Freddie was very nice and I was on speed is what it sounds like. And I had lipstick on my face. I just went to the bathroom after that and I like tried so hard to get the lipstick off my face. Another tip, if you do have the heavy lipstick, you got to bring it with you so that you could fix it in the bathroom, and you have to actually go and do it. Or else it'll get messed up, especially if you're eating. But my other tip is bring concealer, because when the lipstick gets on your face, the only way to cover it up, because it'll stain if it's a good lipstick, is concealer. And so I went and like fucking put concealer all over my nose because I had like marks from my mask. That's very. But oh wait, before this, so I say goodbye to Freddie after the picture, and then I see Inej, who is played by, I don't know her name at the moment because I don't know everyone's name in the cast. Amita. Yeah. Okay. She's there. I make eye contact with her through like 3 other people layers. And I'm like, and I reach out my arm and I go like, you look so beautiful.
I was wondering how this happened because we were just there and then she was just like, hi.
Okay, you missed that. So after those people parted, she walked up to us because I had reached out like a crazy, made eye contact, and was like, you're so beautiful.
Yeah, I did not see that at all.
I don't know where that came. I wanted to talk to her, and like it was just like she was there, and I was like, I guess I'm saying this. She is so beautiful.
She is. And she just appeared in front of us and I was like, oh my goodness, I love your dress. Like, you look so beautiful. And like, we were trying to figure out her name and like the conversation went nowhere because I asked her, that's what happened. I asked her, she was like, oh, thank you. I was wearing a different dress, but then I changed it to this one. And I asked her, I'm like, oh, what was the dress that you were wearing on the carpet? I didn't see it. And then she was telling us what it is, but I couldn't hear her, and I think I was disassociating during that because my mind was like going other places and I didn't know what to do, and I didn't know like I didn't know her name, and so I didn't know how to ask her for anything, and then we didn't introduce ourselves, so that was a bit of a.
It was also, there was a lot of people walking by and she got swept away very quickly, and it was like since the conversation didn't have a hold, we didn't have a foothold. That's where I think also compliments a bad way to start a conversation. You gotta like introduce yourself, like Natasha was saying, because a compliment could end in dead air very quickly. Like, oh, were you just complimenting me and moving on, sort of a situation. So after that, though, I went to the bathroom. This, I was talking about try to vigorously wipe off my makeup, and and I was coming out of the bathroom, and she was going into the bathroom, and we made eye contact, and she was like, "Oh, hi." I don't know if she was like frightened of me because I was like so excited before, so enthusiastic, and I was like, "Hi," and kept walking.
As you can tell, this was a very anxiety, stressful filled.
It was like the opposite of First Kill, where I was like pretty calm. I was excited but calm. This one, excited and anxious.
Yeah, and I remember Christine asking me, like, looking back at me, she's like, "Can you introduce me to Ben Barnes?" or like something like that. I was like, "No, he remembered me. I am not going up to that man again."
Okay, Ben Barnes. Let's go to this. Okay, so Ben Barnes is at the bar, and I think Natasha and Taya are still behind me at this point because they had already met them, and we had just talked to Freddie and that weird interaction with Amita, and Ben Mars is just casually at the bar. So I go up to the bar, and there's like just like a bunch of space between us, but it's just me at the bar, like on his direct plane. But I ended up just asking for a Sprite. Because I don't know how, because he's kind of talking to someone next to him that I can't see. And I cannot be like, Ben Barnes, knock, knock. Who's there? Hi, I'm Christine. Like, I can't do that. So we go back to our friends at the other end of the room, and Natasha's wait. Heather. Oh, okay.
Wait, no. Remember, we were all together, and then you had asked me, you're like, introduce me to Ben Barnes. I was like, no. Like, no. And then I asked Taya, I'm like, how do you feel about going up to Ben Barnes again?
Oh.
And she's like, no.
And then she goes up to me and she's like, so you're the writer. Think of something cute I can say to Ben Barnes. And I was like, I can't think at all right now, Taya. I have a blank slate in front of me. Like, I don't know anything.
Also, Taya's wearing this sheet. She drew the map.
She could have. Oh, wait, she can't open without you. She already met him.
Yeah, and she drew the map of the world on her dress, and then she cut like this big
the Shadow and Bone world.
Yeah,
not our world.
Yeah, and she cut this big slip that was like the fold, and she didn't say anything to anyone about her dress. She could have opened that up and been like, I did this on the dress. Like I could have said that to Leah. I forgot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, so we go back to our friends sitting down, and then I'm like, Heather. Christine wants to meet Ben Barnes. Can you go up to him and introduce them? And Heather is like me. She like will talk to anyone and is like very jovial and confident in that manner. Most of the time. Sometimes like her anxiety gets the best of her. And I kind of followed. So you take this part.
All right. So we go back up to Ben Barnes, and I'm like tag teaming with Heather now because she's going to open the floodgates of talking. And she goes up to Ben Barnes and is like, hey, Ben, we love you in the show. And he's very nice. Like, hi, I'm Ben. And I'm like, hi, I'm Christine. And she's Heather. And Heather goes, sorry, I'm going to be a little corny and ask for a photo. Now, Ben Barnes looks at her all confused. Music is playing and stuff. And he's like, excuse me. And we're like, so we're confused. We kind of have a weird moment. And then Heather realizes that he must have thought that she said, I'm horny. I'm a little horny. Can we take a picture? And she was like, wait, did you think I said horny? And he's like, yeah. I was like, that's bold. So he thought that she said, I'm a little horny. Can we take a picture? Ben Martin looks at me and he's like, I'm gonna need you to give her shit for this for the rest of her life. And then so we give the camera to somebody. I don't know if it was Natasha. I was like blacked out from her saying that. And He takes a picture with us. Heather is clearly like so awkward in and out in this picture. She's wearing one of those like cheese, like grimace smiles. Like, oh my God. And Ben Barnes was very nice, and we laughed about it and walked away, and Heather was mortified for the rest of time. Yeah, I don't know how I would respond if somebody said, like, I'm a little horny. Can I take a picture with you?
I got the lowdown of, I was like, what's going on right now? And then Tessa tells me, like, what's happening, and my face is just like, and then I take the picture, and I'm like, hi. Yeah. Yeah, he's like, got the picture, okay, great. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that pretty much wraps up.
Oh,
like,
wait.
Oh,
Sorry,
no.
forgot. The interaction did not end there. So we're like laughing about this, and I'm realizing as we're walking away, and Ben Barnes is making eye contact with me, that I didn't say anything about Westworld. And that's like my favorite show of all time is season 1 of Westworld. Not the rest of it, just season 1. And I go, and I loved you in Westworld, by the way. And point at him as I'm walking away, and he does like a double take at me. I was like, oh God, that was so awkward.
Not needed.
Not needed. Awkward. Just added it on as I was leaving.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, I wish I mentioned it as an opener, you know, like, and I was like, and said something about like Westworld's one of my favorite shows, and I feel like you were so good in it, blah, 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 blah. But no, I forgot, and then I felt like I couldn't leave without saying it.
Oh my gosh. I just can't get over the fact that he remembered me.
Natasha, people are going to remember you now because you're talking to them. It's not like a hi, picture, bye. Like when you have a conversation, like people will remember. Anyway, so the last thing that happened in my POV here is I see Nikolai. Now, while I'm watching the show, I keep thinking to myself, I know that guy. Why do I know him? Like, I feel like I like whatever I know him from. I can't Google him while we're watching the show. So I don't Google him until after I see him walking across the room, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go try to meet him. Heather, you want to come? No, Natasha's like, Heather, go with her. So I start like power walking because he's power walking, and I'm like, oh my God, he's about to leave. I'm not going to. Abby says, loved you in that T-Mobile commercial. Who was that?
Have you seen this commercial?
That's in Friends. Oh, wait, is Ben Barnes in a T-Mobile commercial?
Yes,
oh my
he
God,
is. It's
are
new.
you kidding? Are you kidding?
It premiered for the Super Bowl.
Well, you know, there's the episode of Friends where, oh my God, what's his name from Jurassic Park with the dark hair? Do you know what I'm talking about? He's
Jeff
like
Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum. Okay. He's guest starring in Friends as like a famous actor. And Joey's like, I loved you in the cell phone commercials. And he thinks he's making fun of him because he's also an actor, you know? And he's like genuinely liked him in those commercials. That's really funny that T-Mobile has Ben Barnes in the commercials. Okay, so I'm power walking after Nikolai because I'm like, oh gosh, he's gonna leave and I'm gonna miss him because I want to say hi. And he leaves, and I do like a hard pivot, like, okay, he's left the building. But later on, he comes back in, so he must have been going to get something. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna Google him. I'm gonna try to like introduce myself. And I Google him, and he was in The Darkest Mind. He played the bitch villain Orange, whose name I'm blanking on right now. The bad guy. And it kind of threw me for a Clancy. Yes, Abby. It threw me for a loop because that's definitely how I recognized him. And it was definitely not how I was picturing him because he's playing like a really snarky, wise Alec pirate now. And I didn't get to say hi because Natasha didn't want to say hi to him, and I like wasn't in the headspace where I was going to be able to do it myself. I was not confident enough today.
Well, my thing, like, my rule is like, I only like going up to people if I have something to say, and I don't have anything to say to this person, so I didn't want to put myself in a situation where, like, I had to, like, where I would feel fake, you know? Like,
yeah, I felt like after especially The Darkest Minds, I had like Alexandra Bracken. That's like a series I did a lot of stuff on, so I could talk about that. And I really love the character Nikolai. He's my ship in this series for Shadow and Bone. So since he's so new also on the scene, it might be easier to talk to him. You know, he's not like a really established actor, so he might be more down to like chat. So that was my thinking too.
Yeah, I would have liked to talk to Danielle, who plays Nina, but
I didn't see her. I don't think I knew what she looked like, honestly. I think that's what it was.
She has blonde hair now. Yeah, there wasn't like a good opening, and again, I have these weird feelings about like her not actually being plus size, which is not her fault at all. It's the casting.
It's not her fault.
So yeah, and I did find out that her friend had made the dress that she was wearing that night, and I would have loved to be like, oh my gosh, I made my dress.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah, Jesse. So there was a group of, Abby asked, it was Jesse who played Alina there. Yes, there was a group of them were kind of like off to the side, sitting down like away from people. That's where I saw Callahan Skogman. I met Callahan at the School for Good and Evil premiere. I think that man is so hot. Like, I definitely have a crush on him. So I would have loved to say hi to him, but he was sitting down surrounded by the like other cast and like managers and things like that. We had seen the one who plays Jesper, and he was talking to,
I really
like,
wanted to talk to him.
Yeah, and he was talking to a bunch of I think fans as well, and they were monopolizing his time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Someone had to come and pull him away.
Yeah, and then they pulled him away to that area where the rest of the cast was sitting. So yeah, a bunch of them were talking with other people. Like, that's why, like, we got to say hi to Ben and everyone. But I think towards that part of the evening, they had already kind of went over to that side.
Yeah, that's another one of our, like, do what not to do situations. It's don't overstay, like, the conversation, because these people usually have to, if there's, like, a celebrity at an event, they usually have a lot of people waiting to talk to them, and you don't want them to have to be taken away. That's like code for, you've been here for way too long. Mm-hmm. And it's always uncomfortable. And yeah, we watched as he had to get taken away by his manager. And then we didn't get to, then other people don't get to talk to them either. And there's other people that want to say hi. And are there any other tips that you didn't get to run through here?
Oh, mine is like read their energy. I think Freddie was being super sweet, but I think he was kind of like done. I don't know. I couldn't, or he was just calm. I don't know. But
he's very calm. I got a very calm vibe from him.
Yeah, and like that is like my main thing is like read their energy. If they don't seem like they're interested in like having a conversation, just then shoot to the point of like exactly, you know, like just tell them how much you admire their work and then ask for a photo and then let it be that.
That's yeah. Exactly. And my other thing here is don't be afraid to take pictures, because you will regret not having them and you will forget this event ever happened. Okay. I know you're thinking like you're going to remember for the rest of the time, but that picture is going to cement the memory in your head and you're going to go back to it time and time again over the years and remember how much fun you had or like the interaction you had and what it meant to you. If you don't take the picture because you're like, I'm going to be in the moment, you're going to forget the moment. So say what you need to say. Just don't go into it like, picture bye, you know, unless you have to. Like Natasha's saying, if that's what's happening in the moment, that's all you can do, go ahead and do that. But don't be afraid to take pictures, because you will regret it. And don't be afraid to take pictures with people at events or pictures at all at events, because you will forget the event ever happened. Like, this used to be a weird thing. Like, people used to like shame me for getting my camera out at stuff in like the early 2010s, I feel like. And then I wouldn't take pictures and I'd always regret it. And then they wouldn't have any pictures. And I hated it. I loved taking pictures. There was a period of time where people would be like, stop taking pictures. I'm like, I like that that's over.
And even like Emily says, like, I always hesitate and regret it. Like, even if you go for it and you have a very embarrassing story, like the corny story, or me telling Scott Evans I love his Instagram, like, you're gonna have a funny story to tell. So at least like you'll have that.
Yeah. I mean, those stories are great. Like, they're fantastic and fun to tell. And another tip I have is bring gum, because that's going to make you your most confident self. Like, all these tips just to make yourself feel do everything you can to embolden yourself to talk to people if you're an anxious like me. Because like, fake it till you make it is real. Sometimes it's very hard, but if you can work yourself up to a place where you can fake it, that works. And eventually you are just that confident. It's weird sometimes when I say that to people, they're like, but you're faking it. And it's like, yeah, but really you're just being confident. You're tricking yourself into thinking you're faking it, you know? Like, because maybe you're not really feeling it on the inside, but you're still doing it. It still counts. And eventually you're not going to be as scared. And that totally has happened for me. I mean, I would never even like go anywhere. I wouldn't do the lap back in the day, you know? Now I see Natasha moving. I'm like, I'm getting on that train. Let's go. And or like, I'll do the lap. Like I will laugh. And sometimes I'll be brave enough to, you know, talk to people. My biggest challenge with quote the lap was at Bufferfest 2017, because I was there quote alone. Tessa and Brizzy were there, but I wasn't there with them. And Ariel was there, but like I wasn't there with them. Like, there were people that I knew there, but like when I walked into a room, I wasn't walking in a group. I was walking by myself, and I would like do a lap and, and I would like talk to people. And I don't know if y'all were there for the time I almost flashed my vagina and I fell down the stairs at a very fancy event. That was Bufferfest.
Yes.
Everyone was dressed in formal wear. My ex-boyfriend and all the friends that I was friends with through him, all there. And I wiped out vagina first when I wasn't wearing underwear, with a big slit in my dress in front of them. And I did like a little weird dance to get back up, and everyone in the room watched. It like went silent, you know? It was one of those moments where it was like, whoa! But I got up and I did a fucking lap. I did like 10 laps, to be honest, because I couldn't stop moving because I was like so mortified by what had just happened.
Me falling in a flower bush at Disneyland. All right, I think that wraps up our tips and tricks, and I hope you guys enjoyed the Shadow and Bone stories.
Yes.
Hopefully. Oh, Abby says she did not know that story. Did you ever tell that on YouTube?
I did. So if you go back to what video did I tell this in? I feel like it was in the video where, it's in the video where I went to the set of the Hate You Give, because I wore the same dress, and I had just come from Bufferfest like a month before that or something, and I brought the same dress because we were being extras on the Hate You Give set, and we had to bring a prom dress, and I brought this same dress, and it had no back, and if you wore anything underneath it, you see right through it. Like I tried to wear every kind of thong, and I couldn't. It didn't work out. You could see it right through. It ruined it, you know? So I was braless and I was completely underwearless in this dress. I was so exposed, and it was so mortifying. Like, I went and talked to everyone. They were like, that was a great save, because I didn't actually like completely fall, because I'm good at falling. I've talked about this before. I don't know if I talked about it on the podcast. One of my quote many talents is falling. Like, I can fall in a way that I can get back up really like smoothly. Like, I did a weird psycho dance move, and that is what happened. Like, I fell on my ass, but I like twisted in like a tornado back up onto my heels. And yeah, just imagine me, like, I'm in this really formal but like dress, and I'm feeling like really good about myself. And I'm like, I look good, and I'm walking into this room with all these people I haven't seen in a while, and I look good, and I like go down these 2 steps and fall on my ass, my vagina out. So it was pretty mortifying. Everyone mentioned it.
All right, we're going to move on to FMK.
And here we go.
All right, it's my turn this week. On the chopping block, we have the Darkling. We have Kylo Ren and Void Styles. But you don't like two of these people, so this is going to be easy for you.
I don't know. Like, do I want to marry Void Styles? That's really scary.
Yeah.
I feel like I'd rather almost marry Kylo Ren because I feel like there's some good in him. Yeah, like I might be able to bring him back. This is not what you want to do ever, be like, I could fix them. But like, he has the best chance of being fixed.
He was kind of fixed at the end. Mm-hmm. And then he died.
Yeah. And then I would F Void Styles and kill the Darkling and enjoy it.
Oh. All right. I'm marrying Kylo Ren because that is my ultimate dream. I'm going to fuck the Darkling.
Nice.
And I'm sorry, Void Styles. But you get to go bye-bye because there's always the other Styles.
All right. Very nice. Today we're going to be talking about chapters 26 and 27 of A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. And we've been rereading this very slowly week by week. And if you haven't, read it yet, you might get spoiled at this point. But if you've read it before, come along, chat with us, because we'll be reminding you what happens along the way. Like, if you've read it once, you're good. All right.
Okay.
You want to walk us through 26?
Yes. So we read chapters 26 and 27. What do you think this was? What are our next chapter? Interesting.
This was a great one.
Yeah.
This was top notch.
This was
ACOTAR
great.
chapter.
I also was feeling like a little bit of a turncoat in this chapter because I remembered why, at the end I was like, okay, wait. Or at this point, in the second book, I was like, why is she going with him? Because of all of this stuff. But I can't wait to get to the Under the Mountain stuff and look at it from a different perspective because now that I know everything. But there are some interesting bits in this chapter. Okay, so this chapter, it's like the morning after, or the lunch.
They're fiddling times. They're fiddling times. Dancing on each other, kissing times.
Yes. And Lucian's like, what did you do last night? And Tamlin's like waiting for Feyre to talk about it or like to see what she says. And she's like, I'm not going to say anything. Like,
they're just like lusting at each other at the table though. And Lucian's like, Cauldron, help me. Hello, I'm here too. Can you get a room?
Yes. And then quickly we realize that something's happening and that someone is going to be there, and magic like burns the inside of her nostrils, and Lucian pushes her against the wall and puts his glamour over her.
So he doesn't just push her against the wall. He's like smashed up in front of her against the wall. And she's just like trying to peer around him as he like smooshes her into the wall with his back.
And she's like, why didn't he just hide me behind the curtain? And okay, so then we find that Rhysand has entered the room. And I think you have more extensive notes on this. I don't know.
Yeah. I can talk about it, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. So before this, though, Feyre's thinking about how she would let Tamlin take her right now on the table.
That's right.
I was like, wow, she's really hot for him right now. And Rysand shows up. He's like, did you like the present I sent? Turned out that head on a spike a couple chapters ago was from Rysand. And he's been working for 50 years right now as Aramantha's whore. And he's doing it to protect his people. We don't know that at this moment. But he's doing it in effort to protect his people from being touched by Aramantha at all. And he tells Tamlin that he's just resigned himself to his fate. You're just sitting here doing nothing. And Tamlin literally says there's nothing to be done. And Lucien gets angry. He's like, I've been doing something. And then Lucien actually says that Feyre is his betrothed when Rysand clocks that there's another set of plates on the table. And then Rysand riles Lucien up like, oh, your parents are going to be pissed off when they see that you're dating mortal swine or whatever the
Another
fuck he
commoner
says.
lover. Yeah, literally Rysand calls Feyre mortal trash.
I mean, he's putting on an act, but he does say that. But it was very interesting to me that, like, Tamlin had resigned himself basically to his fate in this situation. He was kind of like, either I'm going to break the curse or not, and there's nothing I could do about anything else. Because Rysand also, I think, brings the news, or Lucien maybe says it beforehand, that 24 youths, Fey youths, had been wiped out by the Blight just recently. The Blight, like, took away their magic, and then their mind got torn to pieces.
Oh, shit. I don't think I thought to that part. Or I realized that.
Just missed it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, like, the way that Rysand was talking about Tamlin was, like, he just thinks he's sitting on his ass, like, doing nothing, and that, like, Rysand is so pissed off that he's had to keep doing what he has to do to be able to save his people, and that Tamlin just seems like he's doing nothing, and he gets to sit in his lavish home and be in the garden, and that's, like, exactly the sentiments I was getting from Rysand at this point.
Yeah. So Rysand puts his mind powers onto Feyre. She feels like his claws are, like, stroking her mind, and he's controlling every single part of her body very easily. He asks her what her name is. She says, my name's Claire Better. Just someone from her neighborhood that popped into her head. And I mean, if Rysand could sense anything, he could sense that her name wasn't Claire Better.
Yeah.
She's like, I can't hesitate. It's like, you can't do anything. He knows your name already. He, like, sees into her thoughts, and he's spewing all this information out loud that, like, she's wondering what your fingers would feel like in between her thighs and all this intricate, like, sex stuff. You think he didn't know your name already?
I know.
But he says that Aramantha will enjoy breaking her under the mountain, and that he looks forward to seeing them there. So...
Yes, and then Tamlin's like, please don't tell Amarantha about Feyre.
Yeah.
And he's like,
maybe I will, maybe I won't.
maybe I will. And then he's like, beg. And then he makes Tamlin and Lucien put their heads on the floor and beg.
Yeah, and they do it.
And in that moment, like, Feyre's like, I want to kill Rysand.
Yeah, well, she also says that she wasn't bold enough to paint him after seeing him at the spring... that fling, whatever it was called. And yeah, it's because fucking Tamlin's so jealous, he would go into a rage seeing that, I bet. And now, after he's starting to be mean to them, she says something like, I'll never be able to paint him now. Just you wait.
Lol.
Just you wait.
Okay, so that was chapter 26. Now we have chapter 27.
The sex chapter. I didn't remember these explicit sex scenes.
It wasn't even that explicit. Like, compared to her other stuff, like, this was...
I thought there was nothing in this because the other stuff really stands out more. Mm-hmm. But, like, she talks about... I wrote down some specific wording here. He feasted on her, and he sheathed himself inside her.
That's very romance
That's
talk.
very romance novel talk, for sure. It really stood out. I was like, that is a romance novel that we are reading right now. Lots of sexy times.
She's like, yeah, Tamlin kisses her, and then she straddles him. Give me everything. And he lunged.
A beast untethered. That was the wording after that. It all really stuck into my brain. But before this, I have to note that after fucking Rysand leaves, Feyre goes to her room because she's like, she doesn't want to be around for Tamlin's rage. And Tamlin rages like a fucking violent toddler, going through the house, breaking furniture, and she's just like, I didn't even go down for dinner because I didn't want to know if there was no dining room table to eat in. It's just another just like enormous red flag. Like, this man cannot contain his anger. Like, if you are dating someone who fucking breaks shit when they get mad, that's a step away from hitting you when they're mad. Like, I like couldn't, I was just like, I can't. This man cannot control his most basic emotion.
Yeah. I did not clock that the way that you had just explained that again. And that makes a lot of sense because, like, at this point I was like, okay, like, I kind of remember why I liked Tamlin. Like, I loved the sexy scene, but then there's other, and then like Rhysand just got on my nerves saying all that stuff, and like, I get it now, like, after talking about it. Emily goes, how did I like Tamlin in the first book is my question. Yeah. And then Katie says, just like Feyre fell for the first person to show an interest in her, we as readers were sucked in by the first potential love interest.
Yeah, you're blinded in the same way that she is, and that she was in such a bad situation before this, that like anything better feels like heaven until you realize what's actually happening. Abby said she thought it felt like Edward with the protectiveness, but I feel like Edward, I don't know, he wasn't as rageful in outward ways, you know? I know he like would squeeze stuff and sometimes it would break, but I don't think he ever like ran around breaking stuff around her, unless I'm not remembering, which could be possible. Because I wouldn't put it past him.
Yeah. But what also happens in this chapter is that Tamlin says that he's sending her home.
Yes.
And that Feyre...
then they have sex.
Yeah, and then Feyre doesn't want to go home because she wants to stay there because that's the first time, you know, she's ever felt wanted and loved and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, she says this feels like home now. And that now he's so much more than a friend or a protector. And I was like, when was he a friend, honestly? But then at the end, after they've had sex multiple times, I think they have had sex twice, go to sleep, wake up, have sex again. And then she's falling asleep and she's like, don't leave. I want you to stay here. And he like holds her, strokes her head. And as she's falling asleep, he says, I love you, thorns and all. And she's like, oh, I think it was a dream.
And that's the end of chapter 27. And then we go back to the real world.
What real world? We do?
I think so, because she sees her family there. And that's when you're like...
Did you start reading?
No, I just remembering this.
Oh, I don't remember ever seeing her family again. I don't remember a lot of this book. You know what? The first chapter I did actually vividly remember was the one where Rysand comes in. Like, I vividly remember being afraid of him because it really scares me when people have mind control like that. What was that?
Jessica Jones?
No, that really fucking scared me, Jessica Jones. But there was a book that starts with a K, I think, where they have like two different color eyes. Do you remember that? There was like a sword on the front and it had a very like rainbow fantasy background. Her name started with a K. It reminded me of Katniss's name. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? There were like 3 books and the king could like whisper something to somebody, and any time that person said something it would leak. Graceling! Yes. That scared the motherfucking daylights out of me, that power. Because it was so strong that he could tell someone and that person could tell someone. And then it goes all the way down through the kingdom. And that's why he's in power. And that was like, this was giving me those vibes out of the gate. So I was very scared of Rysand in this scene.
Yeah, it makes sense. All right. Well, I think that wraps up our show.
Yes. Do you want me to wrap us up here?
Yeah, you do it much better.
That's our show this week. Thank you so much for listening. Like I said, if you are not already, we'd really appreciate if you followed us on your favorite podcast app for free, on the YouTube channel for free. All those links are in our show notes if you need them. Our Patreon link is in our show notes if you are wanting to support the show that way. We have many, many perks. We are about to go record our fangirl tea time. This week, we're going to be talking about things we learned the hard way, and we're going to talk a little bit about Natasha's birthday this weekend, which was so much fun. And our podcast is edited by Jake Needham and Alex Polis, with music by Cole Jenkins and vocals by Heather Chaska. Thank you so much for listening. We release episodes every Friday. I'm Christine.
And I'm Natasha.
We'll see you next time. Goodbye.